This is a K2 Storm Tracker weather alert.
And we begin with a live look outside now from our Unico U.S. Bancorp Tower Cam. Looking like a nice, beautiful night. Some clouds, but I know I've seen a light drizzle all day, but clear skies nonetheless. And a stark difference to what we saw overnight, where wind and rain toppled trees and left tens of thousands across the Portland metro area without power. Thank you so much for joining us for K2 News at 5. I'm Shelby Slaughter. Steve Dunn and Deborah Knapp are off for the night. We have team coverage tonight as we remain under a Storm Tracker 2 weather alert. Victor Park has the latest on cleanup efforts across the city. And Emily Gersh is near Mount Hood, where the wind caused more problems today. But first, let's get straight to K2 meteorologist Dave Selesky with a look at what to expect in the coming days.
Now, more wet weather for sure, Shelby. The good news is not as windy as it was 24 hours ago, but still will be fairly breezy across the region. Now, watches and warnings. This is a fairly complicated forecast over the next couple of days. So up in the Cascades of Oregon and Washington now, we do have a winter weather advisory. That's going to stay posted now overnight tonight and through tomorrow. On the Oregon coast, we have a high surf advisory there. That's going to be extended into tomorrow evening as well for some fairly high waves that are crashing onshore. On the Washington Cascades, also an avalanche advisory in effect until 6 p.m. this evening. And again, parts of southern Oregon will be pounded by the next series of very strong storms moving into the area. And of course, the last 24 hours, very windy across much of the region as a powerful winter storm came onshore. Peak wind gust, Newport at the Aquina Bay Bridge had a wind gust there late last night of 78 miles an hour. Scappoose, the airport there, a peak wind gust to 62 miles an hour, 64 at the Astoria Airport, and Pacific City, also on the Oregon coast, a wind gust there of 67 miles an hour. Now, for skiers and snowboarders, depending upon your elevation, a lot of snow coming to the Cascades. That, of course, is Highway 26 Government Camp, where we do have bare and wet pavement this hour. The temperature now sitting at 34 degrees. But up at Sandy Am Pass, we're seeing snow coming down there. The temperature 30. A lot of snow coming down at elevations above 4,500 feet tonight and into tomorrow. And power restored now on Oregon 58 for Willamette Pass, where the snow has been coming down again all day long and will keep falling overnight tonight. Now, on the Oregon coast, again, we have that high surf advisory up. This goes through tomorrow. So if you're thinking about heading over towards the Oregon coast for the latter part of the week and the weekend, be advised, wave heights between 25 to 30 feet crashing ashore, sneaker waves, riptides possible, floating logs and debris, all a possibility with those very strong waves crashing onshore. And of course, a quick look at radar right now. It's been a fairly wet day, but again, more rain on the way already on the Oregon coast and moving into the metropolitan area. We'll talk more about that, have the forecast for you in a few minutes. Shelby, back to you.
I, peek out the window, realize a big tree had fallen, realize my car was real close to it.
Right now, many are cleaning up after a storm tore through the region overnight. It caused widespread power outages and uprooted trees. Victor Park is live in Northeast Portland, where some barely escaped a large tree. Victor?
Yeah, Shelby, in fact, by inches. But that large tree did take down this street light here. So the street, Fremont Street, is a little bit darker than usual. And this evening, some people are left picking up debris. 'Twas the day after Christmas, and many across Oregon and Washington got an unwanted gift: bad weather. In the Centennial neighborhood, fallen trees took power lines with it. At its peak, more than 30,000 homes and businesses across Portland and Vancouver were without power. Coastal cities were not exempt.
There were some scattered power outages throughout the county, mostly on the Long Beach Peninsula.
High winds brought down trees and branches.
Well, we heard about 3:30 last night a big bang.
This one came crashing down in the Wilkes neighborhood, barely missing Sereta Rush's car.
My car was probably about maybe a foot from the tree falling. Thankfully, no damage to my vehicle. We did have to do some cutting of branches in order to get my car out of the area because I couldn't back up freely.
People in the area think this could have been much worse. This tree is so massive, they were afraid it would have fallen onto some homes here. Thankfully, that didn't happen, but look at the enormous tree. They're having to cut it piece by piece to clear the road. The National Weather Service issued a wind advisory just before midnight.
We're in a La Nina year, so it traditionally brings down wetter and cooler air during La Nina winters. So these low pressure systems just kind of stream in nonstop.
In Washington, Pacific County Emergency Management is urging people not to wait for a warning before taking action.
Understand that we live in an area where the wind blows really hard a lot of the winter.
And by the way, the National Weather Service tells me it is not over. They expect another round of storms to impact the area later this week. In the meantime, of course, stay with KT News for the latest on that. Reporting live here in the Wilkes neighborhood of Northeast Portland, I'm Victor Park, KT News.
Thank you, Victor. Heavy winds prompted the lifts at Timberline Lodge to close for the day, but folks found other ways to have fun at the lodge. K2's Emily Gersh joins us live from Government Camp. Emily, what's it like where you are?
Well, Shelby, it's calmed down here at Government Camp, but it's still a rainy, snowy mixture out here. We came down here at the advice of the folks from the Timberline Lodge, as they are expecting another 10 to 16 inches of snow there tonight. And as you mentioned, even though the slopes were closed, we were able to catch up with some people enjoying the snow in other ways.
Too bad it wasn't weather permitting for us to ski. You can plan a picnic, but you can't predict the weather.
Here's a look at Timberline Lodge Thursday. Blustery snow, limited visibility, and strong winds.
It happens, at most ski areas, a few times a year when it's simply, there's just too much wind and you can't put people, on the chairs.
John Burton at Timberline said the team actively monitors the weather conditions. The direction of the wind also plays a role.
So it can be windy some days, but if it's in the appropriate direction where it doesn't cause, some danger, some chair swing, no problem. But if it's the wrong direction, too windy, it's a no-go.
And although Timberline doesn't recommend it, the conditions didn't stop some people from snowboarding at their own risk.
It's not a big deal. I've ridden 50-mile-an-hour winds. This is, it's perfect.
If you dress correctly, you can play in anything.
Others enjoyed what else the lodge has to offer.
What are you going to do instead?
Go sit by the fire in the lodge.
Are you guys disappointed?
Yeah, a little bit.
What are you going to do instead?
Just play in the snow, maybe go sledding.
Burton says the hotel is full, but the slopes should be open again on Friday with a fresh batch of snow. He has this advice for drivers.
If you do have to come up here, give yourself lots of extra time, have the appropriate vehicle, have the appropriate tires, check the weather forecast before you leave, and just be patient with your fellow man. And everybody have a great day.
Now, Burton says if you do decide to drive up to Timberline tomorrow, you should check your route at odotstripcheck.com. You can also, of course, subscribe to our Storm Tracker 2 weather alerts for the latest conditions in your area. We're live here at Government Camp tonight. Emily Gersh, K2 News.
Thank you, Emily.